London is no stranger to the fog, but rather than roll in, this mist seemed to rise, thick and slow, devouring the dark alleys of Whitechapel from the bottom up. Whitechapel Dark Mist, a Cthulhu by Gaslight mystery.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our Percentile Vice. I'm Steve, that's Emily, that's John, and we are playing Call of Cthulhu tonight. In a game of our own creation, or setting of our own creation, playing in Victorian England. We call it Whitechapel Dark Mist. When we last left, our investigators, Rosalie Harbour and Josephus Carter, had followed the trail of the mysterious, hairless, featureless man.
Caillou.
Every time. He can't miss it. He can't miss it.
Utilizing the little bug in a jar as a homing device. They found an abandoned warehouse near the dock district, went down the stairs, found a locked metal door, which was promptly unlocked through skill and expertise of Josephus, and they entered a large room, 30 by 30. At the other side of the room was another doorway. And as they walked in that room, the weird, mysterious man walked out of the other doorway, and Georgie, the bug in the jar, the homing device, Georgie went freaking ballistic. And in all of that stuff going on, in the initial attempt to be stealthy and then seeing the new guy, Josephus dropped the jar, and it shattered. And little Georgie, the bug that reportedly came out of the body of Thomas Blanton way back when, skittered increasingly and amazingly fast across the 30 feet of floor to the body of the hairless man who had opened up his overcoat to show you his naked body, completely devoid of hair or any wrinkles or anything, almost mannequin-like. In fact, so mannequin-like, he had no genitals.
No little grub.
Just Ken-dolled. And little Georgie scampered up his side and onto his face, where a part of his face seemed to ripple and open up a little bit, and you saw many of these little grub-like things underneath his flesh. And Georgie went up and merged with that, and then it all smoothed back over to his completely featureless cheeks. The hairless man had just absorbed Georgie the bug. I need both of you to roll sanity.
Yeah, I felt that coming. I felt that. Sanity under or over?
Under.
I succeeded with a 48.
52 on a 45.
Ooh. I need you to roll 1d4 to take that many points of sanity away.
You sure you don't want to go for the 1d6?
I'm sure.
Okay. I got 4.
Maxed it out to dice, man.
Nice. So you both just have a start. There's this revulsion at what you've just seen as the weird body of this man just absorbed this disgusting bug that you've been carrying around with you. And the hairless man thing closes back up his overcoat, kind of half steps back into the doorway that he's come out of. And he looks at both of you, and then his eyes settle on you, Rosalie. And he kind of gestures towards the door you came in, and then gestures down the hallway behind him from the other door, and he goes, "Choose." And then he steps in that other doorway, shuts the door behind him, and you probably hear his footsteps move off into the distance. You are now standing alone in this 30 by 30 room. One doorway right behind you leads back upstairs, and across the room is a doorway that leads the direction the hairless man just disappeared.
So, I think when he says choose, Rosalie kind of has this moment where you ever have like something just kind of like gets said right and it just dredges back up a dream that you've been trying all day to remember. I think that when he says choose, her brain kind of snaps and she sees the curiosities and things store, the change in scenery. She sees the long fall to her near death and kind of just has this moment and like reaches out for Mr. Carter. She's like, I remember where I've seen that building before. I remember why it felt so familiar. I dreamt about all of this, and it kept telling me to choose. It kept asking me to choose, just like he did. And I know this sounds incredibly stupid, and I hate myself for saying it, but I think we have to follow him. I don't think we have a choice to go back now. I don't think that we can. I think we're far too deep. It's either... It's all or nothing, Josephus.
He pointed to a different door, didn't he?
There are two doors in the room. The door you guys came in that leads back upstairs, and the door he came in, which leads away.
I thought there was a different door.
No.
Of course we're going through the door he went through. We've got to find him. He's the only one who knows what the fuck is going on here. And now we don't have our homing device anymore. We've got to go.
I just wonder what all this means, and the dream and the swirling vortex and the falling and everything is just so much.
There's only one person who can tell us now, and he's getting away, so let's go.
I'm gonna hike up my petticoats. Well, all right then.
She means business now.
And Josephus makes for the door with a head of steam. He is ready to go.
Are you gonna scare me? Oh no, you're not.
Oh no, you didn't.
Oh no, you didn't.
All right, you get across the room and you're at the next door. It is a metal door, very similar to the metal door that was at the bottom of the staircase you came down.
I'd like to try to open it.
It is unlocked. You can push it open pretty easily.
I'll unlock it, push it open.
Okay. It leads into a hallway that goes, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe 20 feet, and then kind of veers off to the left, more than like it's a hallway turn, but it just kind of starts turning to the left.
I will keep walking.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you walk down that, and as you take the veer, the slight curvature of the shaft, then the hallway starts to change a little bit. First thing you notice is it's got a bit of it's starting to slope downward, and there are like small, not huge, but just small little sconced torches every 10 or 15 feet lighting up the hallway. And it starts to become less building and more earthen of a tunnel, but it is still vaguely the shape of the hallway, like 10-foot ceilings and, 7 or 8 feet across.
I'm going to keep walking. No hesitation.
Okay.
Josephus has to find this guy because he's the only one who knows the truth and can get us to the other side of this investigation.
We have a lantern, yes?
You have it.
Okay. I'm going to check our lantern and be sure it's still got a good amount of oil in it, or if I need to cut it off and go for a torch for a bit.
No, well, roll me a luck roll.
It's a good thing you're holding the lantern.
I got a 12, which is a extreme success.
Yeah, you look at it and it looks like, This lantern is the lantern that Josephus took with him down into the crypt, and that set of tunnels a couple of hours ago, around 6-ish, and we're probably around 10-ish now. But you're surprised to find that, it's like still 3/4 full.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
What time of year is it?
It is early fall.
Not Hanukkah?
No.
Okay.
He's making a joke about the lamp that lasted several more days than it was supposed to. And
Yeah,
it
would
was-
have probably been funny if I knew the story.
yeah.
All right, so you continue down this hallway. It continues to slope down, and there are places where the slope is steep enough that like steps have been like carved out, maybe some stones laid down. And it's like 3 or 4 steps, and then you're back to just a flat floor, but you can tell that it is sloping down
Right.
a little bit. Both of you would give me a listen roll, please.
I failed with a 62.
I failed, but with a 64.
He makes it sound like he did better than you, but his fail was worse. So,
Good help.
you guys continue down this passageway. It probably goes, I don't know, 40 or 50 yards. And there's some, it's not perfectly straight. It'll veer a little here, a little there. It is still much more man-made looking than like dug out, burrowed like the ghouls' caverns and tunnels were. Mm-hmm. But it eventually, as you go down, you can see that in about 10 or 15 yards, it's going to open up into a large area.
Okay.
Josephus would like to have a short think about whether or not this is about the same level as he was at in the catacomb type deal under the cemetery.
Yeah, I think probably similar. If anything, maybe this is a little bit deeper, but not like, holy crap, I'm like twice as deep as the other place.
Well, when Josephus realizes that, he was a little shaken when he saw Georgie go into the guy. And at this point, he's really starting to lose his patience. And he's getting really angry. He is turning into a bad cop kind of guy. And he sort of, you hear him take a deep breath and go, and his movements are getting very forceful. And he is going to go for the first available door aperture and start looking sort of impatiently and haphazardly because he is really getting pissed off.
Okay. Yeah, so no doors along this hallway. There's an opening. It opens up in like 15 or 20 yards. So walking with a firm, steady, forceful clip, it almost sounds like, Dad coming down the hallway saying, "Don't make me come back there," kind of walk. Thump, thump, thump. And it opens up into a pretty large room. Okay. Here's what you see in the room. It is probably twice as big as the 30 by 30 room you're in at the very base of the stairs. But it's hard to give dimensions to it because it's not really circular. It's not really oval. It's just chunked out of there, right? In this room, all along the walls are shipping crates similar to the ones that you saw upstairs. Some big ones, some small ones. Some of them are like stacked one high, which I guess wouldn't be stacked, but stacked a couple higher, and sometimes there's a big crate with a little crate on top of it. So it creates this uneven skyline like around the thing. And on top of all of these are various sized, shaped, colored candles, all lit up and glowing. There is some room between the walls of this structure and the crates, but pretty much the crates create this enclosure around everything. A wall across the room from you has a brick archway built into it. Now, the thing is that this brick archway, if you were to walk through that archway, you would walk right into a wall. It's like an archway has been built into the wall, but nothing has been carved out. Just an archway. Sorry. An archway inlaid into the wall. On the outside of the archway is stone, dirt, earthen wall, and in the inside of the archway is stone, dirt, earthen wall.
Right.
Opposite that, on the other end of the room, is this large dais, like raised area, and on it something that kind of resembles a podium, or a lectern, that kind of thing. And behind it is a table. And there is, you don't see anybody in this room.
Josephus is headed for the table. Is anything on the table? He's going to look on top of it, look underneath it.
Well, first he's heading for it, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if you get there. Give me a luck roll. Kidding.
The answer's no.
I'll do it.
All right, so you make a beeline for the table. So you're essentially in the farthest part of the room away from the arch in the wall. And between you, but closer to you, is the dais section and the large open area. And it's all, again, surrounded by these shipping cartons with the candles that are all lit and glowing. Give me a... There's stuff on the table that you're going to see, but I need a spot hidden roll from you just to
see how much I see.
What all is available for your...
I'm going to burn 3 points of luck.
Because who needs luck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John's practically made of luck.
And I got a regular success.
Okay. Here's what's on the table. There are... it's like littered with books, tablets, papers. Looking through it, you find one thing that looks similar to like a ledger book that just a business would use, with some writing in it. Then there's some loose papers, some of which are loosely bound in however they bound papers in the 1890s. I'm not sure staples,
string,
exist.
leather,
but
something.
Maybe a hole put in the corner, and like they were tied together so that these 5 pieces of paper went together, kind of thing. So there's a couple of those. Then it's just some loose paper, and then a large, dusty, leather-bound book with real strange-looking symbols and writings on the cover. So a ledger book, a real huge, weird-looking book, and then papers, some of which have been bound together.
Rosalie. Are you carrying a purse?
No. I'm not.
You have any pockets?
I mean, yes, but
How big are the pockets?
big enough to hold some papers, but not a book.
Did women not carry purses back in the day?
Not really.
No?
They had built-in pockets to their petticoats that they could access through little holes in their top skirts.
Women had pockets back in the day?
They were under 4 other layers of skirts, but yes.
So we're kind of evolving backwards.
We are.
Sorry.
But no, they did not carry purses, per se.
I have a regular coat of the time, not a fancy coat or anything. How much of this stuff do you think I could fit in my pockets?
Not interested in looking at any of it. You're just going to shove it in pockets?
I'm going to start shoving it in pockets, and then whatever I can't shove in a pocket, I'm going to look at.
Okay. I imagine you could get a pretty good amount of the paper shoved in coat pockets, including the few pieces of groups of paper that are grouped together. The ledger and the large book will not fit in a pocket.
Mr. Carter, I did see one time a young man, he took his belt and put it through the inside and shut the book around it and then fastened the belt and wore it almost like a satchel to carry a book. That might work in this situation.
That's a great idea. I'm going to take my pants off.
It's not what I implied.
And put the book in the pants and wrap it up in a belt. Not really. I meant to say belt, but I said pants instead and decided to run with it. May as well die with the wing out.
What's your build? What's your size? I'm trying to get an idea how big this belt is.
So after he says he's going to take off his pants, you can ask him what his size is.
Build is 0.
And what's your size?
Don't.
You're the only one that went there, Emily.
5.5. 55.
Okay, I'm bringing it back in. I'm back. I'm sorry.
So yeah, you can like open the book up, put your belt in there, close the book, fasten the belt, and then you essentially made a strap for the book that you're going to hang it over your shoulder, and the book would hang being held up by.
All right, I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to set it on the table for now. And
so you're going to undo your belt?
No. I'm going to keep the belt around it.
Okay, so you never put it over your shoulder?
I'm not putting it over my shoulder yet. I don't think we're ready to leave this room. Would you like to do anything before I continue? I've been hogging.
Well, as he's beginning to grab things, I'm going to try to look at some of the pages as he's like fastening the belt around. I'm going to look at the pages he hasn't grabbed and see what they actually are as he's packing them away.
The pages, not the ledger, not the book, but the loose paper.
The ledger, please.
The ledger. Okay, give me let's make it a library use roll or a spot hidden roll, whichever one you'd prefer.
Spot hidden it is, as much as I'd like to
Because Alice
use.
Green would be using a library roll.
We can retroactively say I have not put the belt on yet, but that's my plan.
48, such as a regular success.
Okay, so as you look through this ledger, you see the name Philip Bradford. And next to that name, the word carer. C-A-R-E-R, carer. You see the name Scott Woodrow. And next to his name, the word carer. You see the name Thomas Blanton. And next to his name, the word carrier. You see some other names. Actually, they just kind of say vagrant or homeless as the name. there are two more of those types of names that say carrier after them. Then you see the name Weasel Pike, and after his name is the word refused, and the name Jacko, and after his name the word refused. And then there's some other names in there that you don't recognize. A lot of them are just generically referred to as homeless or vagrant. And most all of those have the word carer after them. The only ones that have the words refusal after them are Weasel and Jacko. And the only ones that have the word carrier after them are Thomas Blanton, and then two vagrant homeless entries. Then on the carriers, it was Philip Bradford, Scott Woodrow, who you may remember, the two guys you took care of in the alleyway 45 minutes ago.
Right.
And then a lot of homeless or vagrants. And every now and then there's another name that you just don't recognize. But a lot of times it's just they're just generically referred to as vagrant. And those folks are all carriers. So 3 carrier names, Thomas Blanton and 2 vagrants. 2 refusal names, Weasel and Jacko. And then a whole bunch of carrier names, Philip Bradford and Scott Woodrow being the ones that you recognize.
Okay. Mr. Carter, look at these names. They seem to be indicating different statuses of some kinds. I'm not entirely sure what it's implying, but in the world of women, generally speaking, a carer would be a caregiver or somebody who takes care of young people, and a carrier would be the person who carries a child, like nurses and nurses and midwives and things like that in all their different roles. And I can't help but think that Thomas Blanton, he's listed as a carrier, and we saw all of the little Georgies effectively having been carried around in his body come skittering out.
Do I recognize the other 2 names?
Which ones? Philip
The other 2 carriers.
Or vagrants.
No, they just have either the word vagrant or homeless.
So no name with
No
those.
name.
Okay.
Almost like John Doe. Yeah. But it seems to be some sort of, I don't want to say hierarchy, but a classification of different people and however they relate to the naked man.
Maybe we should crack this other book open and see what it has. And he's going to take the other book and open it up and start looking through and seeing what he can see.
Mr. Carter, I learned a very, very fancy trick when I was perusing items at young men's estates. If you kind of just set a book on its end and allow it to fall open, it will generally fall to the page that's been opened to the most because the binding has sort of set.
We'll work on that after I take a look.
I was just saying.
Okay, so this book is written in a language you don't understand, that you haven't seen. If you'd like to make an occult roll or a mythos roll to see if you can decipher any of the actual language, but there are the pages are filled with stuff, and there are some drawings next to the languages. Sometimes of these weird places or weird creatures or just regular people, but they have this magical look to them. So also there are sometimes written like in the margins or like a little piece of paper stuck in there too with some writing that is English and that you could understand.
Let's start with an occult roll.
Okay.
My 3 remaining luck would not help with that 52 on a 20.
3 remaining luck.
Okay, so you get a feeling there's something special about this book, but trying to decipher the language or the drawings in there is a little bit beyond you. You'd have to spend a lot more time.
Could I push the roll?
Sure.
What would the penalty be?
Time.
Time is a valuable resource.
Okay, I'm going to put the book on its binding as Miss Rosalie suggested and let it flop open.
Okay. It flops open. Pardon me.
No, you're fine. I was just thinking of different ways to rub it in John's face, so that was a smart thing I said.
It falls out. It was a brilliant idea that I had no plan for, but I'm immediately incorporating as if that was the plan all along. It falls open to 2 pages that, again, have a bunch of language, words in a foreign language that you don't understand. There is a picture on one of those pages next to what's written out kind of like in stanza form, like 4 stanzas, almost like it's written out like a poem. And a drawing in the book depicts a person standing there with smoke billowing around the person. And I should have made you use a luck roll for this thing, but the idea was so good that it would just fall open to this page. I went with it.
I can give you a retroactive one.
There is a little piece of paper note on this thing, almost like it was stuck in there as a bookmark or something, and written on that, it says, "The dank fog of sailors lost."
Oh.
Right.
Now, see, Mr. Carter, I told you. I would bet my bottom dollar that has something to do with the fog that they've been summoning in and out and in and out.
Yeah. It's a great idea. I'm going to shut the book and put it in the belt with the ledger and can I shake some of these shipping crates and see if it feels like there's
Y'all
anything in
are
them?
done with the table, so were you going to take any of the papers?
Well, I was going to look through and see if there was anything else of note on the papers that are kind of scattered.
The scattered papers, not the bound papers.
No, I was going to do the scattered papers.
Okay. So there was the big tome, the ledger, and then scattered papers, some of which seem to be bound together. Some of the pages, pieces of paper that are loose don't look like anything more than, maybe somebody practicing some sketches, some weird symbols that you don't understand. And there are 2 sets of papers that have been bound together or tied together.
Yeah, I'll look at those.
So, yeah, give me, I'm going to tell you what you find here, but I need a spot hidden roll from you, please.
I rolled a 13, which is an extreme success.
Okay. One set of papers seems to, and it's written in English, kind of detail an agreement made between the ghouls of London and whoever is writing this stuff. And this agreement was brokered by Bertrand Flowers of Flowers, Cuts, and Chops. And just reading through it, the details of the agreement are basically that the ghouls will work to create labyrinthine passages underneath London for this person, whoever is the writer of this thing, in exchange for dead bodies that they could consume. So an agreement between whoever this room belongs to and whatever's going on here, that person or people, and the ghouls. And the go-between was Birch and Flowers. Basically, the ghouls create labyrinthine tunnels, and in payment, they'll throw a dead body at them for them to eat every now and
then. Mr. Carter, look, this shows how all these pieces fit together. It finally makes sense. And I'm going to explain to him what I've read and kind of point at him. He's a man who deals with, I'm assuming, contracts and certain things much more probably than I do. And I'm going to hand it over to him and be like, but all these things, they felt so disjointed and disconnected, but this pulls everything together except for the whole reason we came down here. Georgie and Naked Man. But now we have something showing Mr. Flowers is in with these ghoul things to take to your police friend, Mr. Probst. So we definitely need to make sure this makes it out of here with us.
We have it, but you know as well as I do that we're going to hand it to him and he's going to say it doesn't mean shit because who are the ghouls of London? Why are...
Well...
You know how he's been acting about it.
And I can't
and
say...
And he is from the west side of London. And this is the east side of London. That's like West End boys and East End ghouls.
Oh, God. How long?
All day long. Waiting for this opportunity. Sorry to interrupt your roleplay moment, but I had to get that in.
It's worth it. No, but I can understand his apprehension. I mean, it all. If we hadn't been witnessing this, I wouldn't believe it either. But it's good to have it with us because we may come across more evidence that may be able to substantiate this agreement here. So,
yeah. Josephus, I'm going to need a roll from you. I'm going to need a roll from you.
All right.
Should have done this at the point that you started perusing the book.
Sandy roll?
It is a sanity roll.
He was ready, locked and loaded. Oh.
That's a 72 I failed.
What? How much sanity do you have?
How much sanity do I have? 41 now.
So that's a success.
No, you rolled. Oh, he had to roll under.
He rolled a 22.
No, I rolled a 72.
That's a 22.
You're ruining this for the viewers.
I'm sorry. We don't fake rolls in this house. Unless you're the DM.
All right. Seemed weird to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, okay, cool. The other pack of papers that are connected by string or whatever. It's hard to tell exactly what they are, but it lists 3 ships names. You recognize them as ship names. It lists some dates that are within the next couple of days. And next to it, next to each one of those things, it says a name, and then a question mark. And then the names of the first 2, they track with the names that the vagrant or homeless or whatever name that were listed as carriers in the ledger.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to hand that over to Mr. Carter. given that he works with Speedwagon Imports and all that good stuff. I don't understand shipping ledgers, so.
I'm going to unbundle the book and the ledger and slide... I'm going to unbundle the book and the ledger and slide these pages into the middle of them and rebundle them. Okay. And then I'm going to say to Rosalie, we should probably get what we have out. Maybe we come back for him just to be safe.
But like you said, we don't have a way to track him. If we let him go now, he could go anywhere.
Okay.
He's already gone, isn't he?
I need listen rolls from both of you.
89. Fail.
58, which is a fail, but I'm going to use the 8 points of luck to make it a success.
Okay. So you guys are sitting at the table. You put the ledger in with the big book and strapped it to you. You just got done looking at these 2 packs of papers. You had an extreme success on the spot hidden when you started looking at the papers. Something seems familiar about these, and you can't quite put your finger on it, but you want to keep thinking about it.
Okay.
And you now hear footsteps and voices. Seems to be quite a few of them coming from the hallway you guys came from.
Mr. Carter, I hear people coming from the way we came. Maybe it's best we leave the items here and we hide as to not raise suspicion so we can listen in to whatever happens. But if the book and everything's gone, they're going to know somebody was down here. So if we leave it for just right now, they obviously don't put it away when they leave.
I'm going to unbundle the book and the papers and put them back roughly how I found them to the best of my remembrance.
Yeah, everything seemed kind of haphazard on this thing. You feel comfortable that nobody's going to go, that ledger's been moved 3 inches. So,
is there a shipping container nearby that has...
There are a bunch of them.
That has the lid is kind of askew?
Maybe. Probably. There is some room between the walls of this room and the crates that kind of create a horseshoe. Well, not really, because on one end the wall is open and there's the archway. On the other end the wall is open and there's the dais and the table. But along the sides, kind of in like
amphitheater,
like bracketing it, is all of these different sizes and shapes and stacks of shipping containers that are filled with candles. But between those shipping containers and the wall, there's probably a foot to 18 inches of space at different spots along there. So you could either go behind them, or you could try to find one without a lid or an askew lid to crawl into one.
I think I'm just going to duck behind the crates and cut my lantern.
I'm going to look for one of the crates farthest away from any point of interest.
So like dead center of the lines of crates, so equidistance between the table and the dais, and then the archway on the other end.
Yeah, but on the other side from the door.
Okay, so the far side from the door. So yeah, like the door comes in, not quite the center of the room, off to the side. And as you walk in, to the right is the dais and the table. To the left and farther away is the archway. And then along the lines on this side and the other side are the boxes of crates. You're going on the other side and going about midway to hide. How about you?
I'm going to go on the other side and kind of in the general area of him. I'm not trying to be directly behind him, but...
Okay, so you guys are both on the
far side.
Okay. So give me... Is it hide? Stealth? What do they call it?
Stealth.
Stealth. I don't think there's a hide.
Yeah,
Give
it's
me
stealth.
stealth with bonus die because the crates and stuff are open.
82, which is a fail.
Okay.
That
29, which is a hard success.
Okay.
89 on the bonus dice, which is the first thing I saw, and I was like,
I rolled an 82 and a 92.
Okay, so you guys move back behind there. Maybe jostled a crate or something as you're getting back there, but you're behind there. And you're not there very long when probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 people come walking in. They are led by a person with a big cowl and cloaks so that the cowl comes down and you really can't see the face. The ones behind him, they are wearing cloaks like that with cowls, but theirs are all like pulled back. You can see their faces. They are just freaking humans. Nobody that you recognize, but they come in, and the last two in are bringing in with them two people who are bound, tied up, and kind of being drug in as prisoners. Make me let's do luck rolls. It's just the one that makes the most sense. Not that I'm picking on you because you have a lack of luck, John.
38 against a 3.
92
92?
against a 46.
All you can tell about them is that they appear to be vagrants based on the way they are dressed and their unkempt nature of things. But they could be a dude that absolutely is a homeowner and lives somewhere and he just doesn't give a damn about his appearance.
Right.
But if you had to guess, very similar look to all the homeless and vagrant people you pass on your way to this building that were kind of camped out under the elevated train tracks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is not that far from this building. All right, so they come in. The hooded figure moves to the front of the room. The cloaked but unhooded figures create these parallel lines from the dais to the archway. Mm-hmm. The last two bring the captives in and stand them both facing the archway and maybe 5 or 10 feet from the archway. And the gentleman, the person who knows if it's a gentleman with the cloak, goes up onto the dais, reaches the table behind him, and grabs the large book and opens it up. The other folks are all just lined up along the side, except for the two that are kind of holding the captives in place. They're kind of standing behind them and making sure that they're facing this archway. Is at this point that you realize that the part of the parting of crates that you squeeze through to get back in there behind there, wasn't real big, but you realize your dress or your petticoat is still kind of like out and invisible right there. So that's one of the results of your terrible stealth roll. Would you like to do anything about it, or are you going to let it ride?
So they're all facing away from me, correct?
Half of them are. The other half are parallel and standing on the other side. So, I've kind of made this elongated room. Half of them are down one side, half of them on the other, and they are facing center, which means the 5 or 6 that are on the side of the room you came in on are facing the set of crates you guys are currently hiding behind.
No, I do not want to try to move my dress. What I would like to do is to grab a handful of dirt, kind of gently sprinkle it over my dress to have it match tonally with the floor.
Tonally, you say?
Tonally.
Yeah, give me, let's say Dex.
Okay.
You know,
Please don't
sleight
fuck
of
with
hand maybe would work here too.
That wouldn't be about. I'll let you. If you would like to try sleight of hand to see if you can be able to increase it on an investigator development phase, I will allow that. But I suspect it is considerably lower than your Dex.
They are equal.
Well, then.
60. And I already have it checked off, so I'm going to
Okay.
go with Dex because it doesn't matter either way. It's the 60. So if this dice could just really not fuck me because they had not rolled well for me today. A 27, which is a hard success.
Okay, so reaching down and getting some loose dirt and being very careful not to make any noise or any movement that can be seen. You just kind of start sprinkling it out there. You don't appear to have been noticed, and you feel like, while it may not be perfect, it's better than the bright, shiny yellow border that was on the hem of your dress
Right.
and stuff. So you feel a little bit better about things. So the man at the front of the room lays the book open. And he does it almost similar to what you guys did. He puts it up there and he supports the sides, but because he cares about this book. But he just kind of lets it fold open, and he looks down, and then he starts flipping some pages back to find a different page, and he starts intoning, saying things in almost a chanty way, sea chanties, chanting something from this book. The other cloaked figures, they kind of start this low hum, almost like a drone or a moan, not any words to it, but just this constant monotone. They start doing that as he starts reading from this book. Could you both give me listen rolls, please?
Failed with a 86.
13 on a 40, hard success.
Nice.
Okay. He continues on for, it's probably about 45 seconds to a minute. And as he gets to the end, then you can sense that he has started over. You're starting to pick up a pattern, like a repetition, like he's just started a second pass through it. What are you doing behind this place? What are you doing?
So I am knelt down and kind of as curled into myself as I can get, and which is probably not too terribly much, but knelt down and kind of hunched over so that I'm pressed up against the wall and less against the crates, just more up against the wall, and trying very hard to keep my breathing as steady as possible.
Okay. As you're envisioning what your character is doing, do you see Rosalie actively trying to see what's happening, or only hear what's happening? How is Rosalie going about that?
I think since she wanted to leave everything where it was so that they could watch and listen, I think that I would have tried to put myself in a crate where I was, there's that little slither. So you're not getting a whole picture, but there's enough that you can see.
So you're not poking your head up above crates to get a good look, but you've tried to find, spaces between the crates where you can look at it. It's probably like looking in a cracked door where you have to turn your head a lot this way to just move that little slit back and forth. You probably only have visibility of about half of the room there, and it's going to be from the middle of the room towards the wall with the archway is what you can see. How do you picture Josephus behind these crates. What's he doing?
He has a ton of experience being on the other side of a shipping crate and knowing how the light bends around and having his face in that one little shadow that's coming around it. So he is actively trying to watch. He has positioned himself to the best of his judgment in a place where he's hard to see, but he's actively trying to watch and listen.
And you did get a good stealth roll.
Yeah, you did. So I'm going to say you've probably got a little bit better field of view than Rosalie does. You were the first ones back there. You were the first one back there. You had some time to pick the best position and figure out which one. Same with you. You can see the end with the archway, and then almost maybe you can see the edge of the dais. So neither of you can see the figure that's hooded, but you can see what he's standing on. But you can both see a good portion of the main part of the room where these cloaked figures are lined up, and the archway at the end of the thing. As the chanting comes around and you realize, you think that he started over and he's chanting it again, the wall inside the archway starts to ripple and shimmer a little bit. The humming of the guards, it starts to get louder, more insistent. And the two captives, they have gone from docile, accepting the fact that they're bound and being led by all these people, to a little more active resistance. And they are wanting to nope out of here pretty bad. The wall starts to flicker even more, and then you have an extreme moment of deja vu, because as the wall ripples and starts to flicker, then it just starts to twist and creates this kind of vortex that then shoots down into the wall, and then you see what looks like this vast nothingness of space. Like maybe you can see some cloud nebulas and a star here or there, but it looks just vast beyond this archway. And you see just total darkness, like a tunnel opened up and there's no lights down there. And that is, you see something move up through that tunnel, and what you see is some of these cloud nebula and stars all starting to coalesce into this giant figure standing right in the archway. What you see half sticking out, not even half, just partially sticking out of this, is this huge creature. You can tell only part of its body is coming through. It is white and bulbous and looks kind of like the depiction you saw on the charm, the pendant, for one of the folks you stopped in the alleyway from abducting the little girl. It is huge. It looks like a huge maggot, but I don't know, the size of 4 or 5 elephants all put together, with these weird spindly legs, and all over its white, semi-translucent pussy, slimy body are thousands of eyes. And you both need to roll sanity for me, please.
Gladly. Can I roll 2? One for me, one for Rosalie?
Yeah.
Oh no, bro. I rolled a 98.
I rolled a real 52.
So fumbles only count on skill rolls. So that's a fail for you too?
Yes.
Okay. So I need each of you to roll a D4. Now make that a D6. This thing is disgustingly hideous. And how the hell did it just come through that wall?
4.
4.
Okay. Remove that amount of sanity. You both are struck with this need to just like, well, maybe not Josephus. He's seen some weird stuff. But Rosalie, you have to like put your hand over your mouth to stop from just screeching right there. Josephus, you probably felt your knees buckle a little bit at the sight of this.
That's 8 sanity for the day for me. Does that mean anything to you?
What was your total sanity?
45.
Half is 22. Half of that's 11.
Oh, you're good right now. You're close, though. Yeah, it's not a half. It's 1/2 and 1/5. 1/5 of 40 is 8. So
1/5 of 45 is 9.
Mm-hmm. So, here's what you can see as you lean and peek through and really can only get one eye on it at a time. The 2 captives have stopped resisting. The 2 cloaked figures that were holding them there have stepped back and have stepped into line with the others, who continue their humming, but their eyes, their heads are turned that way. They're watching intently. But the 2 captives, they stare up at this creature, spellbound, frozen in their tracks. And then you could tell that it's almost as if they're looking past this creature. They're looking off into the distance at something. The captive that is on your side of the room, that spellbound look as he looks off into the distance starts to change to a look of excitement, glee, interest, as it looks past, off into the distance, past this huge creature, and he starts getting this just really excited look on his face. The other captor, the one that's farther away from you, as it looks off in the distance, his face starts to scrunch up, first in like confusion, and then it turns into fear. And you can see his eyes getting huge and his head starting to nod back and forth. And the other one who's looking with excitement, his head starts to move up and down. The weird hairless, featureless man is now standing beside the archway, right there next to this huge thing that is coming out of the wall. And he says in a very guttural voice, "Choose." And the one who's looking with excitement, his head starts nodding up and down really fast. And the one who's looking past the creature with fear in his eyes and written all over his face as all the blood drains out of him, he starts shaking his head violently back and forth. No. from underneath the creature, as it moves out of the doorway a little bit more, it's like the back end of him, like the spindly legs at the front spread a little bit, and like the back end comes up underneath him, and it's like there's this stinger part of him, and it plunges right into the chest of the person who was excited and nodding yes. And that stinger plunges into him, and then there's this pulse a couple of times, and then the stinger removes, and he falls to the ground with this smile still on his face, but just completely immobile. The other one is still just violently shaking his head no, but can't seem to bring his body to move its feet. And this entity that's coming through the archway soars up into the air, pulls more of his body out, so this huge hulking mass of him is up in the air and over this captive who is constantly just screaming, no, 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 and shaking his head violently. And the entity just slams down on it, and you hear a sickening crunch, and then the entity pulls back in, and you see that person laying there, obviously dead. Bones poking out of his body. It looks as if every bone in his body has been broken. And Josephus, you see this, and you immediately think of the dead and broken body of Jacko that was thrown into the crypt. The entity starts to slide back in. I need sanity rolls from both of you for watching what just happened to those captives.
60 even.
Are you sure that's not a 0-6?
Mm-hmm.
At 27, that's a hard success.
Okay, you take 1 point, and you give me a D6.
Oh, no.
4.
Oh, no. Mr. Carter. You done fucked up now.
So that just puts you over your loss in 1 day, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's greater than 20%, which is a fifth. Okay. I'm going to figure that out in a minute. You are just stunned, frozen, catatonic almost. And after I finish up this scene here, we're going to figure out exactly what happens to you. A couple of the creature, it slowly starts to sink back into the wall. This whole time, the dude at the front of the room has been chanting, and the cultists along the side have been doing their droning hum, moan, and the creature moves backwards through the opening, and then eventually you can see him moving far away and appears to just get farther and farther into the distance. The blackness that he's gone into starts rippling and coming into some kind of solidity. Is that a word? Mm-hmm. Solidity. And eventually it's back to just the wall there. Standing next to the wall is the hairless man. 2 cultists grab the dead body and start to drag him out of the room. They just throw it by the door for now. 2 other cultists come and help the first man up off the floor. And you can tell that they're doing it with a sense of reverence, of nurturing. as they lift him up, and that person is able to get their feet underneath them and blink their eyes a few times. And they help him, and they take him to the center of the room, and they fall back in line. And two of the other cultists, the ones that were standing at the end of the lines closest to the dais, they come out and join him at the middle of the room. And the man that you can't see from your position, but that has been doing the chanting at the rooms, he says, "And now we have our three, and we are charged with their care until the great Pale One's dreams come true and the labyrinth is complete." And you hear him slam the book shut, and the rest of the cultists gather around the three in the middle, seeming to show deference to them, offering to help the new one walk away if he needs some help. And they all start to gather their stuff. The cloaked man leaves the room. I need you to give me a listen roll.
33 regular success.
Okay. He closes up the book. He puts it back on to the desk, the table, and they start to file out of the room. And the last two cultists out, they pick up the dead and broken body. And you hear one of them say, "Oh, there's another one for the ghouls then." And they march up. And you hear their footsteps trailing off down the distance. You might even hear the clang of the metal door as it gets shut. And you guys are alone in the room. And real quick, John, I need to pull up a table, and then I'm going to have you roll a 10-sided dice.
We are fucked.
Yeah, roll me a 10-sided dice.
3.
Okay. Everybody has left the room. You hear the clang there. Josephus is sitting back up against the wall, eyes wide, unblinking, staring off.
I'm going to quickly kind of peek over the boxes just to verify nobody is quietly hanging out behind.
The room appears empty.
And I'm going to make my way to Josephus. Like, Josephus, we have to... Josephus, like, trying to get his attention.
Sure. Josephus, you can vaguely hear Rosalie's voice. But as that sound starts coming to you, then the sounds around the room start coming to you. And you start to reacclimate yourself to where you are and what you're doing. An incredible rage just overcomes you. You are seeing red, and all you can think about is breaking something, hurting something, shooting something, killing something. You are just filled with an incredible rage. Roll me a d10.
5.
So for the next 5 rounds, you are in a fit of uncontrollable rage, a spree of uncontrolled violence and destruction directed at your surroundings.
Did you say everyone had already left?
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
So I'm going to pull up my shotgun at Rosalie and pull the trigger.
Well, I didn't mean that.
It's already done.
Okay.
Kind of roll a dodge if I can.
You're going to dive out of the way?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What dodge?
It's an 18 against the 76.
What is that? An extreme success for you?
Hard.
So I'd have to get a hard success to... Yeah, no, I failed. Even using luck, I could only get down to a regular success.
Okay.
Holy fuck.
Roll your damage.
What's the distance?
You were calling out to him?
I think the video footage would show that I said I was putting my hands on him and shaking him.
Point blank.
$13.
I have 10 hit points.
Okay. Rosalie falls to the floor. And you still got a few rounds of controllable rage directed at your surroundings.
Gonna start shooting shipping crates.
Okay. You empty the shotgun. You're at 0 ammo. In the shotgun, and I think you probably started to reload it and got a few more shots off before you come to your senses. I also need you to roll me a D100.
15.
Okay. You cannot stand being in rooms or places that are obviously carved out of earth. You can't stand being in subterranean places.
Right.
It's an overwhelming.
Once he starts feeling like that about it, he's going to get out of here the way he came in.
Okay. You go down the hallway. You come to the first metal door. It's unlocked. You go through it to the other one. Open it. It was locked, but the latch is on this side, so you're able to unlatch it and then dash up the stairs. You're now no longer in a subterranean place, so you feel better. You're able to stop and catch your breath, and you are standing at the top of the stairs with smoking shotgun and yourself. What will you do?
Did he completely black out down there? Does he realize what he's done now?
You made the choices, so yeah.
I didn't make the choices. You told me I was in an uncontrollable rage at my surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So... he's going to go... he's going to make a beeline for Reggie.
Fair enough. So you go out of the warehouse. You're on the street that runs parallel to the dock district. You head west on that street, past the kind of shantytown vagrants and homeless people underneath the railroad tracks. You find, I think we said it was Market Street or Commerce Street, I forget which.
Yeah.
And head north on that. Eventually it gets to Whitechapel Road, and you know that if you take a left there and go another block or so, you're going to be at the police station.
Now keep going.
Okay, you're there.
And I'm going to go straight in. And is Reggie there?
Are you asking somebody for Reggie? Yeah,
I'm looking for Reggie.
You don't see Reggie.
I'm going to go to his apartment.
Which is above the police station.
Mm-hmm.
You're at his door.
Going to bang on it.
There's no answer. As you sit there banging, couple minutes later, down the stairs, your door open, and then steps come up, and you hear Reggie's voice. What the hell is this about? What are you doing here?
We followed the bug and found the guy. He was in a basement of an abandoned building down near the docks. We went down in there. They had some kind of thing going on. Some enormous creature came out, stabbed a homeless guy. There were a bunch of people in robes. I'm done with this, Reggie. No matter what, nobody's going to believe us. There's no hope in this. There's no truth to find.
While you're talking, he's unlocking his apartment doors. Look, come inside then and sit down. I'll pour us a scotch. And seems like you just need to just relax for a minute. We're talking this all out. You're laying on the floor behind the cartons, crates. Your midsection riddled with shotgun pellets, blood soaking your dress and pouring out onto the floor. What's Rosalie thinking?
I think her first thought is she's thinking of like Little Will and Allison and the commonalities she sees in their childhood and her childhood, and what being in the area of Whitechapel means to poor little girls growing up, and how much she really just wanted to see to the end that both of them and all the little girls of Whitechapel would not have to go down the route she went. So she's kind of having these moments where these key choices she made sent her on the road that she's on. Not that she regrets them, but that she wants better for these two little girls that she's met in the last couple days. And the large impression both have made on her. And I think she thinks about Mr. Carter for a moment. She probably does one of those very, like, wet coughs as she thinks about him flipping his stupid coin and trying to look so rugged and things with his cane and scaring children. And she kind of does one of those, like, very wet, bloody coughs, which kind of leads her into kind of gasping. And that's when she starts feeling she's not going to get up from this. She's starting to realize there's no one coming. There's no tomorrow. There's no more fancy nights out. There's no more nice drinks. There's no more nice dresses. There is cold dirt floors and choking on your own blood.
The light starts to fade. The pain goes away. You feel extremely tired. And your eyes start blinking, and you have some of those really long blinks where you're like dancing on the edge of awake and asleep, and you have those things where they thoughts were they dreams, right? And you see yourself holding hands with little Lil, and she is now much better dressed, like she's now being cared for. And you're walking with her, and you look down, and she looks up at you, her face beaming, and her mouth starts to form words as she looks up to you, and she says, "Choose."
Mm-mm.
And then everything goes back, and you're falling and falling and falling forever. Do you go into the apartment with Reggie?
No.
Okay.
Going to take everything I've stashed in my pockets and chunk it out on the floor. And then I'm going to storm off to the docks.
All right. What you going to do when you get there?
Sit by the water.
Okay. Well, you're sitting by the water. What's going through your mind? Besides the fact that you do not want to be anywhere close to being underground.
He is very confused. He doesn't know why he did what he did. It doesn't seem like he's anywhere near being able to find the truth of the situation, and he's very taken aback by that. He's not used to being unable to get to the end of the case and the evidence he needs, and he feels very helpless. And for the first time in a long time, he's very afraid, and he realizes that the only person who believed him is dead now, and it's his fault.
Yep. As you have that thought, your right side of your face starts to feel some warmth, and your eye starts to squint, and you realize that the sun is coming up. That what seemed like just a couple quick thoughts actually took the rest of the night. And you're sitting at the dock as the sun rises, and there are ships moving in and out. The activity of the dock starts to pick up as workers start moving in all around you, past you, around you, just this bustle of activity as you sit there. And that's where we're going to end for the night.
Sorry.
No, it was epic.
Yeah, do we need a decompression moment?
I mean, we got some time, yeah. No, it was epic. The cojones it took, it was amazing. Don't be upset. I don't think I've had a character Have I had a character die?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's the first one. I've had some go insane and die of natural causes, but like legit die? That's fucking epic, dude. Don't leave me hanging. Don't be upset. Dude, you played that exact... I mean, like...
I was hoping for a more fun insanity, like dresses up like a chicken and...
Are you kidding? I thought it was hilariously fun.
Yeah.
I got to play out a death thought. I love those.
Death and insanity is the Call of Cthulhu thing, so...
It fits his MO. Like, if it fits what he would have done. You thought about it. You weighed the consequences. His first thought in almost every other situation was shotgun up. Like, that's what you did the entire time. You played him exactly how you intended. That played out how it would have played out for Josephus Carter. So don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. I feel like, first of all, I fucking love when people get to, like, narrate their death thoughts. So I got to narrate my death thoughts, and that was epic. So you're not...
They were pretty good, too. I enjoyed that.
Thanks.
You kind of teared me up there for a minute.
I got a little teary, too, you know? But no, I mean...
It's a shock to all of us. We've been playing Call of Cthulhu for a while. We've had some small bouts of insanity, and we always knew from the beginning, like, first paragraph in the book is people die in these games. That's the first one. It's different for us, right?
Yeah. And I mean...
Would y'all like an epilogue?
Yeah.
Of what's going on around here?
Yeah. Because, I mean, Joseph
If we're not going to continue.
Bitch, I am dead.
Well,
You have... How many character sheets do you have on your
you could roll up
computer?
another one, and let's take a week to think about it.
Let's think on it, because we may want to tie it with
you
a
know,
little bow.
Josephus may decide he's got to do something about this, or he may decide, fuck it, and jump into the fucking water.
Into the
I
harbor.
think as time goes on, he's going to get to the end of the day thinking, I've got to eventually feel better about this. And at the end of the day, that shotgun's going straight up.
I mean, it's so hard to wrap your brain around because we're so used to playing Dungeons and Dragons where you're looking for the happy ending. But Call of Cthulhu, you have to be willing to embrace the tragic and horrific ending, which is people die. People go through horrific events they can't recover from. Like, that's a whole new...
It's weird that I feel bad and good about it at the same time.
Like, I feel a little bad, but I feel good about it because it's like, we did not let off the gas. We didn't see the impending doom coming and be like, oh, well, no, I don't want to... No. We said, no, this is the game. And we played it. And I'm fucking proud of us because it's so easy to be like, oh, well, you missed. You know? It's easy. You're more tore up about it than I am.
We were going good.
We were, but even you've said before, like, having a character actually die like a good death was fun.
When I'm doing it.
Don't take away my fun.
I'm not trying to take away your fun. I'm glad you had some fun.
I did. I had a great time. And you get to decide if Josephus continues or if...
It just sucks because I really did like Rosalie. Even though in character I made some snide remarks and...
No, but even in character, we could tell she was growing on you. That
a little bit by little bit.
there's a character growth of this annoying winch to this person that I'm relying upon. It was pretty interesting.
It was a hell of a shot. I think that's what did it for him.
Dude, at close range, nothing. There are not many things humanoid that survive his shotgun. Was it 4d6 at close range?
And when you were like, is it point blank? I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I legit said into camera that I
know,
grabbed
I tried
his
to give
arm.
you an opportunity to say you were at medium range.
Like, nope, I was right there. I was waving my hand in his face. We'll take the week and we'll think on it, see if we want to organically continue the story, or if we want to wrap up this portion of Dark Mist with an epilogue, little episode, or what we want to do. I think we need to talk amongst ourselves off screen and decide how we want that to play out.
I agree. We can go either way.
Because part of me is like, yeah, of course I want to keep playing
There's really kind of three options here. 1, damn, that was cool. Game over. 2, Josephus continues along and meets another partner. You create another character that joins him. 3, Josephus does not continue, whether he crawls inside himself somewhere or decides to take content warning other
measures.
And the things in Whitechapel are still happening, and 2 other investigators just
Probes could put somebody else on
see
it.
what else is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really 3 options. In the game, Josephus with a new person, 2 new people. So think about it this week. I have freaking butterflies in my stomach about
It was an epic
that.
ending.
It was,
epic.
I mean, I had some, oh shit, well, what do I do now?
I can see it on your
moments,
face.
and
You
then
were like, okay.
and you know, because the D&D guy in me was like, okay, I can just say, and some miraculous thing happened and you get up off the ground. But the Call of Cthulhu guy in me was like, you had 10, you took 13. There's no coming back from that. And this game is supposed to be about
How mortal you are. Playing with forces that are not of your kind. Like,
So, although it was fucking uncomfortable as shit, like, oh my God, this is happening, I decided to let it happen because that's the way the game's supposed
I think
to go.
I think I almost would have been disappointed if you had come up with a way to get me out of it. I think I almost would have been disappointed. Maybe I think it would
I'd have
depend
been
on the way.
disappointed too because it had just been me copping out of, you know, like
Letting off the
James,
gas.
I'm not ready to play this game, you know. But I don't know. It was pretty epic.
That took balls, dude. I could see it on your face, and that's why I looked over. I was like, "Do it." I didn't know "do it" meant shoot me with a shotgun. To be honest, but I could see the apprehension on your face because whatever you thought you were going to do was like, "Man, that's kind of harsh." And I was like, "Ah, just do it."
Well, there were choices. If there was anything related to any of this shit still living in here, he definitely would have gone for that first.
Yeah.
But he was still stunned and confused from everything, and the first thing he saw was you, and it was just reflex.
Yeah.
He started his rage, and
No, I mean it was played very well.
That makes perfect sense. Just felt icky while it was happening. But on retrospect now, it's like, that's what this game's about.
We've yet to really explore a whole lot of that. We've had a couple characters go insane and have some phobias develop and things like that, but this is the first time we've explored this level of loss. And honestly, I agree with you that if I was Josephus Carter, I would probably just give up. I would probably he doesn't feel like he can do his job. He lost his friend. He's losing his, professional contacts. He's
way down on ammo.
like he feels like he's at a dead end. He has no more resources left. And he's a guy of resources. Like, he's a guy who has his buddies behind him, and he has his knowledge, and he has his investigation, and none of that has worked for him so far. And it feels like, well, what now? So I get that. You played your character very true.
I think if he does come back, he's going to be too much of an asshole for me to play. I mean, really think about it. Like, after people go through shit like this, they don't have any feelings anymore for anything else. It just gets to the point where it's like, you see one roadkill, you're like, oh, that's sad. That turtle had a life. He had a wife and a kid. Then you see 2 raccoons, and you're like, damn, those raccoons were going places.
They had
Had
a
the whole
college
life in
scholarship.
front of them.
Then you see a pile of dead deer, and you're like,
This road is awful.
welcome to Highway 212 outside Dublin and Eastman.
Fucking hell. Dublin and roadkill. Anyway, we'll think on it and decide if you have an opinion on what you want to see happen, let us know. You can hit us up on Twitter. I'm not saying we'll take your advice, but we'd like to hear, you know, if you want to have a say in what you want to see. If you think it's an organic way to stop it, let us know. If you think there's some ways, let us know. And we'll take it into consideration.
So we're going to take a week. We're going to think about it. And, you know, if the decision is that this game is over, then kind of owe it to you, the viewers, to kind of give you a little epilogue of
a wrap up
of what was going on and what happens after that. And we can do that relatively quickly. And if we're moving on, then we'll figure out how we jump into the timeline.
I agree.
Cool. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Nail biter.
Wow. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed it. If you need a moment, take it. Everybody loved Rosalie. And we'll be back next Tuesday for more actual play. We just don't actually know what it's going to be.
We don't actually know what we're going to play. See you all in therapy.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.